What is the purpose and vision of your company, and what is the value proposition that you are providing?
Yeah, so I would really say provide an actionable item for business owners. Like that's as simple as that, right? So like provide actionable item for business through artificial intelligence, right? So like that is our goal, that is our main goal. And whether this require like a data that the user bring in from the user interface, from the interface,
Mm-hmm.
or whether this data is through a connect, through an API. That is our goal. It doesn't matter where that data come from. We want to be able to provide an actionable item for our end users. That's it.
Explain to the audience out there, what do you mean by like actionable item? I think, just to be more specific on that.
Yeah. So let me give you an example. Let's say you own like an e-commerce store, right? And you are trying to like boost sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the metric of Google Analytics. You have the metric of your sales, right? For some reason, let's say the second month of the year,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of don't make it to the same second month of the last year, right? So it's like you're kind of falling short, right?
You're not growing year over year, basically.
Yeah. So you're not growing, right? So our goal is basically look at your data and provide the feedback in simple term, as in as just conversation, as in text. I mean, I do want to implement voice into our
That would be,
Telow
now
AI.
that would be really cool. That would be
Yeah.
really
So that
cool.
way you can just communicate with it,
Wow.
But yeah, not at this point. So basically, like, our goal at Telow is basically providing an actionable insight, like actionable item that the business owner can execute in their business and they can see result. Because remember, like businesses, they require like an analytic specialist sometimes, right? They
Sure.
require someone that can go ahead and read their data and things like that, right? But that takes time. That takes
Yeah.
like a week. That takes like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes months, right? Why not when that data is available to you, right? And
Yeah.
that's the thing about Teller. We don't store data. That's the secret of
That's
Teller.
good too. The
Yeah,
audience,
we
yeah.
don't store data at all. Like we don't store any data at all, right? Like we don't want to store data. So just because there's a lot of conflict with
Sure. Yeah,
with
absolutely.
business and things like that.
Google stores enough for the whole world, so.
I know, right? Yeah. So we so actually let me correct that again. We do store the conversations just because
Yeah.
we want to improve our own model, right?
Sure.
Our AI model
It
later on,
trains
right?
on its own conversations.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
we don't store the data that is that is in Google Cloud or wherever
The
it's coming from.
detailed business data, the website traffic, all that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. That is your data that we don't touch that. So like that is basically Telow, man. Is being able to feed on this data and provide in a simple language, like as we speak right now.
I mean, I definitely can see the value in that, because like you said, it's not even the fact that like when I open my Google Analytics, when I'm checking my website data, there's a lot of numbers thrown at me, and there's a lot of different pages. And, for a lot of business owners, it's the time thing. They're having to really pawn it off to somebody else who's going to have to then read the data, interpret it, and then actually make decisions based on that data. You're cutting out that whole process. So number two, and again, we talked about it a little bit, but what is the current problem in the marketplace? And this is, again, to kind of reiterate what we talked about. What is the current problem that you're seeing and why this is going to be valuable?
Yeah. So I think basically like businesses having a struggle with a fragment data source, and basically like leading them into like I don't know, making wrong decisions, that like because they can't really like understand the data, right? So like
Right.
but when you have that available, then you're able to like make better decision, if you have that available in a simple conversation.
Yeah, and you're also cutting out the middleman, because like you said, you can hire people to do this, but you're kind of creating that cost affordable kind of solution for that.
Exactly. And if you think about it, there's a lot of business and intelligent tools out there, right? Which is like I think Microsoft has the biggest one, but like a lot of people can't afford that, man. It's like it's costly, right?
Very
it's
expensive.
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's very expensive. So it's like that's where we come in.
Yeah.
Providing it for pop and mom shop.
I like that. Yeah, because not only are you solving the problem of AI, you're also doing it in a cost-effective way too. You're also not only providing you insights, we're doing it in a cost-affordable solution. So I really like that, and I think too in the marketing campaigns that's obviously the focus. Not only are we actually using your business data to interpret it for you, we're saving that time, but we're also saving you money. You know what I mean? That's saving time and money is a great pitch for marketing.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the best pitch ever.
Yeah, it's absolutely great. And we're going to get into it too. It's, there's a lot of there's a lot of great products out there, and I think really the biggest pitfall of businesses is the distribution strategy, and we're going to go into what that means. But basically, it's not even the fact that you have a really good product and you've built it well and stuff like that, but it's how do we distribute it? How do we get a product in the hands of customers,
Right.
and to build that demand? And so that's why I'm really excited to talk to you further in along, because that I think that's where most businesses fail, is right there.
Yeah, really. Wow. That's interesting. I want to hear that. What you got?
Yeah, I got some ideas. So number 3 for the solution, and you explained what the solution is, but I'm curious on the channel of distribution. Is Telow primarily going to be your web application? Do you have plans to become an app? Where do you see Telow kind of going?
So this is a very good question. Okay, because I see exactly where Telow fit in. Right, but some of this stuff I really can't say it here in this, but I would say like we will be on the web first, then we will be on mobile, right, mobile platform.
Yeah.
Then we will have a desktop native,
Okay.
So I think I'm kind of looking into, like, I think there's a framework Electron. We're gonna integrate our web app into there, which kind of means a native app, or maybe even a progressive app within the browser.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's a huge distribution which I don't see a lot of people are focusing on.
Okay.
And that's where I want to be. I really shouldn't say it, but something is related to like talking with the AI, so it's that voice.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. And I think the channel distribution is important because, like we just discussed, there's a lot of different ways to actually deploy it, and how you do it first is very crucial, because it's very important.
How you do it right. Remember,
Yes,
because you can be first, but if you don't do it right, that's where you fail.
No, that's correct. But I think because some people build web applications that really should be apps, like they really should be mobile apps to start, and then some people build mobile apps that really should have been desktop apps. You know what I mean? Or even extensions. People think, oh, I need to build some extension that's above me. You realize Honey's $1 billion company. It's not, and they're an extension. So even if it's an extension, you can still scale it like crazy. If it's
kind of like Grammarly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 1Password, Grammarly. I mean, they just started as an extension, right? I think.
Yeah.
And they made I think $1 million company. So
I'd probably a B. There's probably B. Yeah. They don't make a B, but they're definitely raised a B.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So number 4 is the competitor analysis. So what are your competitors in the marketplace? And the biggest question is, how are you different?
Yeah. So I think that we could have a lot of competitors, right, in our field, just because if you think about it, any technology right now, they can literally integrate their data, right? What they have, let's say for example Shopify, right?
Okay,
or Shopify can easily come up with their own AI model, integrate their whatever user data they have, but they're only going to be Shopify, right? They're just going to be focusing on e-commerce, right? And their growth is really limited at that point, right? Even though we have a niche market, like Telow, we focus at the niche market, which is like actually e-commerce, at first. But we have the potential to bring more connects, more integration modules, right? So it's like
instead of them using Shopify for one, another company for another company for other, it'll be like, you can start here, but as you grow with us, we'll introduce more data points that you can integrate.
Exactly. So like that's where we fall very strong, right? I mean, that's where we are very strong, right? So like, but that's where they fall short, right?
I got you. I think this is the reason why I ask. I think you definitely need to have a slot on this, because competitor analysis does 2 things. I like on the competitor analysis to show like what actually is the company generating in revenue, because to an investor, they want to kind of see, what are your direct competitors and what are they doing? Like, is this even worth a business getting into? And I think you could have some really good names. I don't know if I'd throw Google in there. I might get a little more specific, but give specific examples of competitors who are doing like $200 million in revenue or whatever, just to showcase, and then explain their weaknesses. So you could list the X company, how much money they make above, and then they really excel in this. So kind of show a strength, but this is their weakness. And then at the bottom, and again, what we'll do after is I'll send you kind of some example decks of some people we've had on the show that's actually done a fantastic job, better than even my example deck. They built one, so props to him. But I think that's a great way to do it because an investor wants to see, okay, this guy's aware of the current marketplace. He's not just has this idea, we Google him and there's all these other companies. He understands the marketplace. He understands how much potential is, and he also understands what is his separator. You know, the last guest we got on the show, his was like, my UI UX is different. Yours is, we're really giving businesses a better understanding of their data and simplifying both time and money. And like, that is what separates your company from the others. So super valuable slide to have, in my opinion, especially the competitor analysis.
Interesting.
Good. Yeah. So for the market potential is kind of the overall market of this product. And again, this kind of segues on the competitor analysis, but you want to see how big the actual market is, how big the addressable market is, and then kind of the market you actually plan to capture. TAM, SAM, and SUM is kind of what you do. So you might not know that numbers on that. Maybe you do. But what is the total addressable market you think for the AI? And then what really do you feel like your company could capture within that bubble potentially?
There you go. So WooCommerce is, I think that just calculating is $13.3 billion right there. If I can just capture 10% of it.
Yeah. And see, that's super powerful. And again, the thing too is, and this is something too, Brian, it's like when you're raising money, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I felt this way too, is like, where are we pulling these numbers from? Because like you almost feel, I know, you know what I'm saying? Because like it starts going down the rabbit hole of like, is this like, I feel kind of weird telling my investor that we're going to hit these numbers.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily, and we talked about this before, but it's not necessarily the fact that you're pulling these numbers. Here's my recommendation: be conservative first of all. Be conservative. But also, it's just kind of the headspace of where you're at and how you're going to get there. Because the same way with equity, and we're going to actually give you, I'm going to get at the end and kind of say, how I think is a good way to judge how much you should actually raise. Because a lot of times there's no justification for these market potential devaluations. It's just kind of like, let me pull this number from nowhere. And the investor's going to say, well, why that number? I don't know, So again, it's just another number where we kind of get an idea of what potential we could capture. And that's why it's another, in my opinion, really important to kind of highlight.
Yeah, I agree.
Go back to what we talked about in the beginning, because guys, he is a one-man show, by the way, for people out there. But, a lot of people think, I can't start a tech company because I have no experience coding. But you can partner with someone who does. That's going to have that expertise you don't. Or if you go, you know what, I would rather just save up my own money and do that. You can do that way. You can contract out people who complement your skill set. You don't have to learn code to build an app company or a technology company.
Exactly.
You don't have to do that. So my thing is just learn what your strengths are, be the best at those, and then partner or hire out the rest. Kind of work.
I agree. I honestly, I'm gonna be honest, my strongest asset is probably identifying the problem within the space. And I wish there was a team that can help me actually coding. And man, I keep telling that to my wife, I wish I had this person who can help me. I wish I could, but I actually tried to partner with one person and he tried to steal the code.
Oh wow. That's a scary thing as well in this.
Yeah. So and then I spoke with a lawyer and things like infringement in the United States is very secure, so you can really post the code and really start a company out of it. That company can be sued big time.
Oh yeah, especially if they start doing well. I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen the Facebook movie out there, but Mark Zuckerberg kind of stole just the idea. They didn't even have the code. He just stole the idea. And then once they got big, the first thing those guys did was
exactly, man. It's in the United States. Actually, I think US and Europe, your product is very safe. You can probably go to Russia, you can go to Japan, you can go to all this country and probably make it, but you cannot market that product in United States.
No, agreed. And it's the lawyer costs get really expensive, but if they build a billion-dollar company, that's when. Because again, if it's under that and they sell your idea, it sucks, but it might not be worth the legal cost. But if they're actually making a huge company out of this, you can definitely get compensation for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really unfortunate to hear. That's another thing too in terms of partnering. Partnering someone with good morals is also another thing too.
Very important. Yeah.
It's like a marriage,
Yeah, man. Yeah. Especially I'm gonna be honest, man, this founder was very nice in attitude. He was nice attitude. He had a very nice attitude. He was like, hey Brian, you're doing great. And I was like, doing great, you sometimes gotta do things. You can't just say doing great. You know what I mean? He was just sitting back. He was just waiting for me to push code.
Mm.
That was it.
Was
And
he? Was he? So he was a technical guy. He was a technical.
yeah, he was a tech guy. Yeah, he was a tech guy, and he was like saying, "Hey, I can do this, I can do that."
Yeah.
He didn't install the core feature, which was the oh my gosh, that was a blessing. Which was the AI, right? Because
Oh
our AI
yeah.
is
Yeah.
the core feature. He was just able to install the UI code.
Mm.
But yeah, the core feature and actually so much more because we're far ahead from what he installed. So like,
Sure.
um, but man, yeah.
I
So he's
wouldn't
like,
worry because I wouldn't worry. And the reason why I say I wouldn't worry, let me kind of explain that too. It's like the biggest thing about a product, what we're going to talk about, and because I think a lot of people out there too is like maybe they even want to join the show or like get their word out, but they're like, I'm kind of scared to tell people.
yeah,
Everybody has ideas.
yeah,
Everybody has ideas. What separates actual companies is the execution.
yep,
And there's so many people out there who can build a really good product,
yep,
tons of people.
yep,
There's not a lot of people who can get that product to the hands of their customers and execute on their plan, right?
right,
So
right,
there might be 10 guys that, take your code, but if you learn how to execute, you go, man, I'm going to beat them. You know what I mean? Like, and then
yeah,
you're going to propel it forward. Now, I wouldn't recommend just giving your code out to everybody.
yeah, no, no,
No, that's not the recommendation because that would definitely jumpstart their progress.
yeah.
But to all those people that really worried about that, again, what we're talking about is showing demand. You kind of need to get these days it's not like you keep it a secret stealth mode like we did 10 years ago.
Right.
Like nowadays, an investor and everybody wants to know everything about it because everybody knows, and a great idea is nothing until you actually execute and scale
Exactly.
it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
that's true.
it's huge. So number 7 is the revenue model. So I've seen, this is kind of where the ideas start kind of going in and what we're going to talk about. So right now we're going to show on screen what the current model is, but explain to the users what your current model is and why it's that way.
Yeah, so we are basically subscription-based model, and basically subscription-based model per instance, right? And remember, in Telow, instance is representing a project, right? So whatever project, whatever URL domain you have, that is one instance. That's our price model. Yeah, subscription-based, I would say, per month.
So you got the initial subscription per month, and then you have the per instance, correct?
No, just per instance per month.
Just per instance per month. Okay.
Yep.
And then it's a 14-day free trial, correct?
Yeah, right now we are offering 14 days trial. And
also, so this is a thing too about kind of the revenue model. Do you plan on like tiering it, or is it just going to be like one? Like, cause a lot of times they do different tiers. Is there a tier down the road, or we're so early we're not even looking at tiers right now?
We don't have tier, but we do have. I am thinking about enterprise.
Yeah.
Enterprise, and basically because when you get more, when you get bigger and you have a more mature product, something especially like Telow, you could be able to sell it to their product, right? The vessel, right? The product without connecting to any data or anything, to agencies where they require to have some type of user interface.
It's more extensive. It's the deployment's going to be a little bit more difficult, and that's where you're saying the enterprise model could be more of a custom contact us type.
Yeah, that's where we're looking. Like, I think that's one of the option, because remember, the architect of Telow, the way it's developed, man, it's so nice that you can easily copy and just like copy and make a copy of it and just fire up your services.
Yeah,
and you got Telow up. Like, so the architect is a very nice build. Like,
you know what I really this is kind of my input. This is something I wrote down that I think could be amazing to what you're doing. So we're going to show it on screen, but when I was actually going through the process of going into the beta, there's a couple of there's kind of a lot of steps to do it. And I say a lot of steps, not a ton of steps, but just like you click that, you have the landing page, you have to get inside, you have to add your card, all this stuff. This is what I think you should do. This is my opinion. Again, got on the internet, but this is my opinion. I saw this, and I'll send this to you after. What this developer has done is when you click try it now, on the front page, you have the front page, and then you have a call to action button right in the middle. And it's like, click here to try it. As soon as they click it, a page loads where they can actually immediately start using the product. Immediately.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe on your website, on your landing page, instead of having to go through all that steps, what if the user could just click, as soon as they see it, they go try it now, and I click that, and immediately I can pair mine and just start typing. And maybe the business model doesn't revolve around getting into even that portal. It's just like You know when you do you know when you upload like MP4 files and do the conversion,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Cloud Convert, how you have like 10 minimum or whatever, and then it starts charging you.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
happens? You use it, so you go to that website and you use it, and you go, I no longer can do it for free. I'm gonna have to start paying for it because
Yeah.
they've. Go ahead.
Yeah. So sorry. So I think for because of security reason, and the
Security
way that
reason. That's
yeah,
the only thing. Yeah.
it would be very challenging, right?
What if
Because
what if we did like a beta version of it though? Just something like a taste, just to get them a
yes,
taste of it.
yeah, definitely that's something that it can happen. We can just avoid like authentication, and we can just have
Yeah.
like dummy data.
Something basic, and this is why
Yeah.
I say, because when they taste it, and that's the whole point of a free trial, when they get that value, when they understand that value and they try the product for the first time, that's the hardest thing to do, is getting someone to actually try it.
Right.
So if you can eliminate really all those steps and you go, this is a preview of what you can get with one click of a button of going to your website.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And the data thing's huge. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, I wanted to pick your brain, but I think if you had like some kind of trial, just like something to get them reeled in, where, oh my gosh, this is valuable for business, I got to do this, immediately sign up. Because for me, I was like, I don't know if it's value. Why am I signing up yet? And I'm saying it's not. It's just you don't have that credibility yet to.
Right. I think this is very doable, but there's a few challenges. There's a few hills to overcome.
Yeah, and again, it's just a recommendation. It's just something I thought of.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Because I love people like using the product without, being invested right from the start. Like I want them to get invested as they use it, right? I don't want them to just get invested and they don't like it. Like that's not product. I want to build a product people love. People love to use. People are able to like create something out of it. You know what I mean?
And I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. I was thinking
you're actually very smart. Like I like what you're saying here. Like I think we're kind of have the same mentality. You know?
I haven't read that book. I need to.
Yeah, I have to really send. Let me actually.
Everybody in the audience gets a free. No, I'm just kidding. We can't afford that. Brian is kind enough to gift.
I love that. Yeah, let's. Maybe we should actually have AC funded.
Yeah, Startup Central is startup as well, so we are not.
Yeah.
For 8, and it's funny. This is actually highlighted. So when I sent on the agenda, we actually highlight number 8, and you're gonna laugh because this is exactly what you said when you sat through investor meetings. The evidence of success. What have you done? Where's the demand? How do I know as an investor that people want this product? Okay. So for evidence of success, this is what I would say early stages, because I think you need a slide for this too. I think having this in your deck is huge, right?
Yeah.
This is what I would recommend. I think when you're super early, you're trying to showcase demand any way you can. So if you do have a wait list and you have a beta list, even if it's 100 users, include that there. Of those 100 users, getting some kind of maybe sending emails, getting surveys, getting feedback. There was one entrepreneur who actually took a lot of surveys. He didn't have a lot of users. He was taking a lot of surveys. You don't even have to survey your own customers. Maybe survey people who were struggling with that problem. Maybe approach business owners, say, do you struggle with data? Yes. And they're getting like this list of, well, what if there was a solution that would solve that problem and it would do it this simplified? I'd use that product. Some kind of survey to show that people want it, or even a video testimonial. If somehow you can get somebody to use the product, review it, give an honest opinion of, I actually have used the product and it actually saves my business. It saved us $1,000. You can have that video. This is what I said. I said, don't, for every success slide, just have the video. Just have a link to the video. Have the investor saying, listen, I could tell you all day how much it's awesome. I'm going to play a 2-minute video on someone else who says it's great, how it solves their business problem.
That's a very good point.
That's huge. And when you're pitching, taking a step back too, and having the investor look at someone else that's using the product, 99% of pitch decks are not doing that pre-seed. I think you just need to hook them as early as possible. And even that free trial, maybe eliminating that, putting your card in immediately and just get them using it. Because I'll tell you this, if you built let's say you had 25, 30, 40 people, but they're actively using it and they're using it frequently, and you have no paid model at all, it doesn't matter, because investors are looking at that going, we could turn this into paying customers. As long as you have a plan for, there is a way to make money with this. I just want to build that user base first. I mean, that's what OpenAI did. Go back to that model. Right. They made the model first where they just built as many users as possible. Right. Then Microsoft buys them and obviously puts a paid model onto it. You can't tell an investor we're never going to have a paid model. I understand that. But if you go, we're going to do it free for 3 or 4 months, and this is why. We got to build as many customers as possible. We'll get them to love the product, then we'll build premium features on. Oh, by the way, let me showcase you a couple businesses who've done this and it's worked. But giving them a timeline, I think could be a really good way to go. This is how because again, like, I just paying for something that people aren't familiar with is just really difficult. It's not possible, but we're trying to. I don't know if you read Alex Hormozi's book, $100 Million Leads, but
I have.
It's his most recent one. It's the second book, but he talks about like the hook, like getting people hooked early, the free value immediately. And with software, it's that free subscription. But I even think in a beta product, just like, I'm not saying you can't make it. I'm not saying you can't make it paid, but just eliminating all barriers of entry and just getting people active on the product should be number one priority.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I think we are changing that model. Okay. I think everybody can just go ahead and sign up and start an instance right away without any credit card or any promotion code or any of that stuff.
Awesome. And everybody that's watched this video, you better go try out his product. Okay. You better go try it out. Like go try out that product.
Thank you.
Well, number 9, I think that was great. I think that was really good. Forecasting. So this is a slide. These next 2 slides are really the rest of the slides are my favorite, because these are where entrepreneurs, I think, really, you go from the top 1% of pitch decks and to everybody else.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to give you some examples of what this looks like. But the forecasting model, what a forecasting model is, and what I like to say is give a roadmap of the next 3 years and show 2 things. Show the amount of users, like you believe year 1, year 2, year 3 with a bar graph. And number 2, show estimated revenue. And you go, where am I getting this estimated revenue from? Glad you asked. You go to the revenue model, and you know how you're charging. You say, I believe we can charge $50 a month. Well, you use that number in the actual forecasting model. So you go, year 1, I believe we're going to secure 100 paid users. And we can take that from what we believed we were going to be able to charge. Now, again, that's why I say go conservative on this, because it's not saying that maybe that $50 you realize is $25. But the investor at least knows you have an estimation, because if you go, I don't know how many users we're going to have, I don't know how much money we're going to make, to me, that's, you don't know what you're doing. Even if you do, it doesn't look like you do. You go, year 1, conservatively, I believe we're going to hit 100 paid users and 500 free users. Based on those 100 paid users, I've already done, from my research, we charge $50. That's going to be $5,000 per month, reoccurring revenue, MRR, year 1. Year 2, we're going to scale that to 1,000 paid users at $50 a month. Maybe we'll even tier it to $100 a month, enterprise level business. And be conservative on this. But then the investor's like, oh shoot, by year 3, based on his model from the research he's done, he has a good understanding of, shoot, we can actually be doing $100,000 MRR per month. Because I think a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go, all right, I think I'm going to be doing $40 million a year in revenue. They give the 5-10 year goal, and it's like, how are you going to get there, and how many users are there going to be?
Right.
Based on what?
Yeah, that's very hard to actually tell right off the bat. I mean, I don't think anybody can do that. So,
well, and some people too, they'll have a $2 product, and they'll go, "We're going to be doing $100 million after year 3." How? Tell me how.
$100 million based on the $2 product. How are you going to do? You got to kind of get the whole country.
I'm telling you, but like the entrepreneurs do it all the time. They go, "I think we're going to do $100 million." Well, if you charge $2 per product, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
So just having I think a slide for that is really important for an investor, just to kind of say, and also for you, kind of gauge where are we really believing what we're going to hit? Like, are we hitting 1,100 paid wire? And then you can start asking the whys, and then I really identify the roots of how can we fix it.
I see. Yeah. I like that. See, that's why I need people like you to talk to, man.
Well, we all do. Like, I think, like, I even too, when you're in it. Because I did the same thing. When you're in it, you have tunnel vision sometimes, and you can't even see it. Yeah. Even if you're really smart and you understand it better than anybody, you sometimes just, even I need, like, I have mentors with YouTube, like right now helping me like
Yeah.
AC, this is bad. You don't need to be doing this. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see. I see your point. Yeah, yeah. I think I've been focused too much on the product, and I think honestly, after like what I was mentioning, like we do have one more feature, and after
Yeah.
that, we are really gonna focus on bringing customer in, right? Like
Yeah.
having people sign up, and of course, plus the tweaks that you also mentioned. Some of
Yeah.
that we're
Yeah.
gonna
I
make
mean,
like a price model.
it's it's a little bit of product is huge, but
That's a very good point, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why too, people use the word marketing. And I tell on this channel, I've said it a million times, I hate that word because marketing is such a marketing. It's just like such a distribution. I love that word because it's like, how do I distribute it? How do I give it to, you know what I mean?
Because once you're able to distribute it, people can just pick up as they need it. It's like,
right.
Yeah, you don't really need to sell. Yeah, I understand. And actually, if you focus more on distribution and the product is good, you don't need to market it.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go into here we're gonna get I think we're getting a little we're gonna go to the next two and it's gonna be really important this discussion.
Yeah.
So let's get into it a little in a second. But number 10 is the roadmap. So the roadmap for your product, you have kind of a roadmap, but what I'd like to see, we're gonna show it on screen. I like to see more detail on this and specifically tailored to the investor. And let me explain. This is where the financial forecasting planning for your company is huge. Like this is what I want to see. I want to see, I invest in this company today and what is it going to do for the next 3 years? Let me give 4-month increments. So we expect 100 users by August of 2024. Okay. August 2024 final version of the product launches on a web application. We have 100 users. We've pre-seed raised $100,000. December of 2024, we have 400 free users. We have 20 paid users. This is maybe we've introduced into a new market. Maybe there's basically as much detail as possible. But the key thing to include in these roadmaps is how you plan to actually financially support the business. So pre-seed funding secured August of 2024.
Okay.
Series A funding secured February of 2025. And based on how much money you're raising when you actually need to re-raise. Because you can kind of estimate, okay, if my estimated burn rate is going to be this, I can plan until February with no revenue coming in the door. Because a lot of people, what I did with my company is I go, all right, we're going to make so much money, we're not going to need to raise until we have to. That's the dumbest thing ever. It's the dumbest thing ever. Yeah. When you raise money, there's 2 ways you need to raise. You either raise, have a plan to re-raise in the future, or you raise so much money that you give yourself a large enough time frame where you don't have to re-raise for several years without the product actually working.
I see.
But with pre-seed, with no revenue, that second version is a lot harder. It's a lot easier to raise a lot smaller amount of money and then actually just plan, okay, in March of the next year, we're gonna have to, even if we have income coming, we're gonna have to raise our Series A. And that also tells the investor investing in the pre-seed that within the next year, he could sell his shares to the next guy, or he could continue to stay, and he just wants to see progress. Because he doesn't make money. Typically, he doesn't make money to the exit, maybe 5 to 10 years. If you get to an exit, a lot of investors want the opt-out. Okay, this is 10x my money. I'm out. I'm on to the next pre-seed startup. Not always. Some people will stay in there. But again, you got to figure out, this goes back to who's your audience. Your audience is an investor, and he's going to want to know, as much as he loves you, as much as he loves the product, he's going to know when he's getting his money back.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So even if you know that, and even if you say it, I would include it in your pitch deck. So I would do a 3-year out plan. And after 3 years, what I typically do in my pitch decks, what I've recommended is do 3 years. We've got our pre-seed Series A. And then on the year 3 one, you could do Series B or exit. So because that's typically 3 to 5 years is when people exit. So for year 3, we exit, or year 3, we do a Series B. And on that Series B, what I've included in mine is we expand into a lot broader market. So now you're stepping up to the next level.
Right. I see.
And you raise that Series B.
I see. That's a good point.
But again, what this goes back to is not only this. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I wish I had that actually sooner. That whole mentality sooner, because I did have I had a few VC meetings, right? And I think they were really searching for that. They wanted to know how are they going to capture their fund back, right? And actually grow with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
because you don't. And again, when you're, when you're an entrepreneur, you're thinking they're going to see what I see. But the truth is, a lot of times they don't. I mean, a
yeah.
lot of times people, I mean, there's some investors who invest with their money and they don't really even believe in it because it's such a solid plan and
Yeah.
it's such like a good, like the founder's good. A lot of times they're betting on the entrepreneur. They're also betting on your game plan and how detail oriented are you. And again, these guys they're meeting with all these people. And if you're 10, 20, 30% better, it's going to showcase like crazy in that meeting that you've planned. I know exactly when I'm getting your money back. Let me tell you. Who else is doing that? Truthfully.
Yeah.
Most people are going, I think in 10 years we'll make,
Yeah, but you're saying be very conservative with that, right?
I
Like,
would.
well, yeah, because like honestly, I don't like to promise people something that is not going to be delivered. I like to deliver, man. I'm like one of those mentalities.
Well, that's more of a forecasting thing, but with the roadmap, you're not promising anything. You're just saying within March of 2025, we're going to have to raise our Series A no matter what. I mean, that's just telling them the facts. Like if we don't, we're even with our conservative estimates, we're not going to be making enough money to do that. And a lot of them are fine with that. They just want to know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I get that.
All right. Awesome. So we got those two down. And then the marketing plan and investment with money allocation. So this is something we have to have. Like investment with money allocation, what I recommend is, well, let me start with this premise. When you raise money, my recommendation is that for pre-seed startup, when there's no money coming in the door, okay? This is about to, a lot of product-based founders are going to freak out with this, but hang in there with me. 75% of the funds, 70 to 75% of the funds that you raise should be for distribution. 20 to 25% should be product. Okay. Now let me get into that concept. I've so many entrepreneurs, even on the show, I'll ask them, what are you going to do? I give you $200,000 tomorrow. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to dump, $200,000. We're going to make this best product ever. Everybody's going to love it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not giving you any money. Like I'm not doing it. If you tell me $150,000, I'm having $20,000 go to Google SEO ads. I'm having $30,000 go to partnerships, to secure partnerships. I'm having another $10,000 go to paid ads on LinkedIn. And this is why I think that could do it. I'm having another $30,000 go to, more partner channels. If you tell me that, I'm going to go, I want to write this guy a check tomorrow, because this is why. When you focus on the distribution, go back to what we talked about. When you focus on the distribution, when you hit that $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 MRR, then you update the product. Then you make the product better, because the hardest part is getting that cash flow coming in the door. So you need to do everything possible in pre-seed to start bringing money in the door, no matter what it takes. Do whatever you can to make money. Start getting money coming in the door. When you start making money and people are using the product, then you slowly start updating the product. But a lot of people want to raise all this money. Guess what you're going to do? You know what I mean? You're going to, you're going to raise this money, and no one's going to use the product still because you didn't dump any money into marketing. It's going to fail.
Yep, I agree with you 100% there, man. Like honestly, like that is what I'm actually going to focus after this one. A few adjustment, as you mentioned, one of the adjustment, and then of course being able to bring in like a Google Drive. Actually, that's one of the future I should probably announce right now. It's basically connecting. Yeah, so connecting Google Drive to your Telow instance and basically bringing any file that you want and analyze the file. Like that's huge. So like that's what we're bringing in, and after this feature and minor adjustment, like being able to just fire up an instance right away, or just going distribution, man, as you mentioned, and I agree with you on this because
what it all goes back to, though, what everything goes back to is especially in the pre-seeded, go back to investing, is what's the quickest way we can bring money in the door? Yeah. And a lot of I did it as well. I focused too much on the product, and I should have focused on, if I start making $5,000 a month, then guess what? Also, too, my Series A and all that is so much easier. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I agree. If you go into a Series A and you still have no money, you're not gonna raise again, because it's just they're not gonna put more money into it. So really, you're basing your whole future on the fact that you build this best product and everybody talks about it. I'm not saying it won't be a great product, talk about it, but initially, no one's gonna know who you are.
Right.
It doesn't matter. No one's gonna know who you are.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, focusing too much on product, that's the outcome of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta focus on distribution and marketing. I agree.
That's right. And that's, the biggest thing, go back to why we started this, is that's what I focus on as well. And I was obsessed with the product. I loved the product, and a lot of people, it's just a tendency. Like we want to focus on the product, but the best companies in the world, their distribution. I mean, they are so good at getting it into the hands of their customers. They're so good at it, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah, I gotta hire some type of agency for that. You know?
Yeah, but we can do that if we get funded.
If we get funded, right? Yeah.
So finally, we're gonna do one more thing. We got a couple more things, and we're wrapping up here. But the ideal investor profile. Have you the same way the ideal customer profile? Now, we have basically concluded the slots. We have 13 slots, so we're done with that. But I like to talk about quickly about the ideal investor profile and who are you targeting right now for an ideal investor? Is it just kind of anybody who will meet with you? Do you have a specific target in mind?
I think people who kind of like, you know, can be a little bit of an, like what you're doing right now, like being advisor, you know, advise a lot, like, you know, helping the product, helping the company, right? Like making right decision. I think that's very important. And then of course the funding, being able to like, you know, fund us when we need it. That's very important. And
how are you setting up these investor meetings? Are you like reaching out via LinkedIn? How are you getting these meetings?
They all reaching out to me.
Are they really?
Yeah. I have like a whole list that I'm actually ignoring, man. Sometimes I'm not even like responding because I don't have no pitch deck. I don't have no product ready. I'm not even in the distribution.
Not anymore. You are going to now though.
Yeah, right now we're going to. Yeah. So like, but like, yeah, I actually, like I said, I have one tomorrow. Sometimes I take him just because I do like to hear this, you know, VC, you know, give me a feedback. Even like, see, this is the thing with me. I like to keep option open. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like to hear feedback, man. Like that's how I actually improve as a person. That's how I can improve the product.
Sure.
As well, you know.
But my thing is if you're having investors reach out, like, I don't think most people have that. Most people don't have that. You need to be ready to ready to close, man. You got to.
Man. I know. Listen, I didn't know how golden was this until one of my friends who actually launched a product. He was like, I can't get an investor. I'm like, dude, my investors are reaching out to me. Like, people love Telow, man. I'm gonna be honest. You know, I think the idea, people really love the idea.
I love it. Like, I genuinely love it. That's what I told you that. I haven't. And by the way, I don't say that to everybody. To be clear, like, I don't say I love the product every time. I hear them out, and then I immediately thought that. I think with you, it almost seems like it's not that you're not obsessed with the product, because you are. I think you're not diverting your attention to the right things right now.
Right. I'm a perfectionist, and I like the product, and that's the worst thing you can have. You know, it's like
startup mode. It's not good.
Yeah, and I have a mentor, man. I have a mentor. He always tell me this too. You know, actually, I think me becoming an entrepreneur, I thanks to him. His name is Tony. Tony. You know, I don't know if I can
Tony Robbins, by the way. That's the Tony.
No, not Tony Robbins, but Tony Malik. He's a real estate investor. Okay. He's a huge real estate in Montgomery County, and he taught me about something. First of all, he said, "Don't worry about titles, man. Don't worry about your CEO. Don't worry about your CTO or company owner or founder. Don't worry about that. Make execution.
Yes,
that's what's gonna get you there, right?" And he said, like, don't laser focus on one thing. And I'm still doing that. I'm still doing that on the product.
Well, laser focusing on the wrong things is
on the wrong thing. Exactly. Yeah.
And there's a time and place, because in the beginning you needed to focus on the product, but you've built it to a point where you're about to be where you're good. Like, you got a good beta, and now where's your focus going to go? And it's got to go to the right place.
And that's the decision. And
but I'll tell you what, the reason why I ask this is because a lot of investors are really intimidated by the VC route. And I'm like, you do realize there's angels and there's family offices that are way more accessible. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering how you were getting VC meetings. First of all, guys, the fact that VCs reached out to him, investors, that is a rarity. Like, that has not happened. The fact that it's awesome. I'm so happy for him, but that's very rare. And typically what I had to do, what a lot of people have to do, is actually reach out to them and target the investors. LinkedIn Sales Nav, Crunchbase. And I'll say Crunchbase is huge because you can actually target exactly what they invest in. Mm-hmm. Send your cold email strategy that you've done before. Say, hey, my name is so-and-so. This is my company. And guess what? You have the best pitch deck ever because you've revised it. You've gotten it good. And you send a 2-minute Google Drive video. It briefly explain the pitch deck. The odds of you getting funding, go back to conversion rate, is super high. Why? because no one's doing that. They're sending a half-done pitch deck and no
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
You're going to get funded. And I say all this to say to you and to everybody, it's like, it's when you're so focused on that, it's almost like you have to wear a million hats. And you need to focus. Your hat right now has been the product, and that's great because it really is a good product. Like, I'm excited about it. I'm really excited where it goes. But right now, your next hat needs to be, I need to be a CEO and a visionary, and I need to raise money for my company, or it's not going to work. And as soon as you get that money, you need to immediately deploy it in the right places. And when you deploy it in the right places with your plan, it's going to work because you're folks putting all your money into getting it out there, the strategy. And you have no excuse that your product was, some people say I had a great product, but it just, no one got it. You're not going to have that. You're not going to be able to say that because you did everything you could and you put the money in the right place.
I like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
Awesome.
You
got any closing thoughts? This is the conclusion. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Feedback, guys. Provide feedbacks. I love feedback. I love hearing people. I love to see where my customer or their head at with the product. I think that's very important for me. Focus on distribution. Those are my thoughts right now. And this was good meeting, man. To be honest.
Did I help you a little? Did I give you some things to think about?
Absolutely, okay. Absolutely. I think you helped me out actually more than I was expecting. You helped me out how to really create that pitch deck and also like how to think about these investors. What they're really looking at.
Yeah. Tell the audience out there can they just access it? Do you have a wait? Like, how can they get in the beta? Is there?
Yeah. So you can go to Telow.com and then just click the button. Get it started, and that's it.
Awesome.
It's that simple,
Awesome, guys.
And there's going to be a promotion code, but we're going to remove that, as AC mentioned. So we're going to remove that, and we're going to allow everyone to just go ahead and start an instant and start chatting with the AI in regard to their data. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, we're going to include all his down below. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure having you. I think he provided a ton of value to the audience. Really cool story, by the way, too. Super fascinating. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with other founders who it actually can help. So thank you so much for watching. This is Startup Central. We turn dreams into realities. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Talk about the Facebook. I just said the face. I said the reason why people talk about Facebook